So my name's Nicki Tarr and I'm an upholsterer based at Brighton Art Space. I do lots of different types of upholstery. So I work on modern furniture and vintage furniture, like mid-century modern furniture, and antique furniture as well. That's the kind of area that I really love because you get to use so many really beautiful natural materials and springs, and yeah, that's what I really love doing. And you get to build a shape just with your hands and some very simple tools. I mean, I think one of the really lovely things about upholstery is just the sheer variety, because there's so many different types of furniture and there's so many different types of chair. So it just doesn't get dull because it's always something different. And I think, you know, one day you'll be wrestling with really big springs, putting springs in. Another day you'll be using really very delicate fabric. I can be using the sewing machine, I can be bashing out nails, you know, there's a great wide variety to upholstery, and that's one of its joys really, is you know, you're always doing something different. It's hard to get bored. I suppose my work gets divided into two things. So I do commissions for people, and it can be, again, modern or antique pieces. And that's really lovely. I get people trust me with their family heirlooms, and that feels like quite a privilege. And sometimes there's really lovely stories behind them. So that's really enjoyable. Sometimes people say, I have no idea, what do you want me to, you know, what do you want to do with it? And I'm able to kind of point them in a direction and make some suggestions. And sometimes people say, I just want it back looking exactly the same. And that's fine too, you know, I don't mind. But yes, it is lovely to you know, work on people's pieces of furniture that have family stories, and I really enjoy that. And sometimes they contain little hidden treasures as well. That's quite fun. I kind of hit my early 40s and decided I was ready for a career change. And my mum, when I was growing up, was always really interested in antiques and furniture. And so as a child, I was taken round, you know, auction houses, and I got to see her, you know, restore pieces of furniture. And so I think it sort of gets under your skin somehow. And I've always really enjoyed making things with my hands, and my creativity has always been quite 3D. So when I was thinking about a career change, upholstery seemed to tick lots of boxes for me. I think lots of people think that upholstery is just about putting a beautiful piece of fabric on a piece of furniture, but it's actually, there's so much more to it. And actually most of the work is in building the stuffing and, you know, fixing the frame, and the fabric is the kind of final beautiful bit, but actually often what happens underneath is really beautiful as well. So yes, so I'm very aware when I'm working on a piece of furniture that, you know, there's been people that have been doing this craft for hundreds of years before. And what's amazing is that some of the stitching and some of the techniques haven't changed for hundreds of years. So there's a real sense of history in pieces of furniture. And there are certain techniques and things that you really need to follow with certain pieces of furniture, but you can also add your own flair to things, and you can interpret a shape in your own way and decide how you want it to look. So yeah, so I do commissions for customers, and then I also do my own work. So I do bespoke chairs that I source myself and then upholster to sell. So that's quite fun. I get to kind of, you know, come up with my own things, and yeah, that's really enjoyable too. I'm always really drawn to furniture with bent arms, with bent wood, or in somewhere in the frame. So I think a lot of my pieces have got some form of bent wood in there. I really love the idea of a comfortable seat with some really beautiful wood. So yes, I think probably that's tends to be what people would maybe recognise me for. But yeah, there's all sorts of furniture that I'm really interested in upholstering, and the really lovely thing about upholstery is, I'm a relative newbie in the world of upholstery, and I think that there's just always stuff to learn, and that's just a really great thing, is being able to endlessly learn new stuff and improve on your skills. So yeah, I mean, I'm endlessly learning and tweaking how I do things. I did a course at the CAS in London, that's where I started, and then I practiced for a while, and then about a year and a half ago I went and did some work with a master upholsterer over in Tunbridge Wells, and I got to learn all sorts of new things and new ways of doing things. So I think, you know, you're endlessly kind of developing your skills and tweaking things, and just sometimes I think, oh yeah, I did that much quicker, or that came much more easily. So, you know, each piece of furniture, things kind of move on and change. I have done some collaborations with artists who've actually put their art onto fabric, and so we've kind of been able to mix a really great fabric with a chair that I've made. So that's really fun to do. I really enjoy doing that. Yeah, so I've had a studio at the Phoenix for about 6 years now, and before that I was working at home, and upholstery is quite a messy business that takes up a lot of space. So having a studio here has just been amazing really, and it's made a huge difference to my practice. I've been able to really develop and grow and do new things and bigger pieces of furniture, and just, you know, it's just makes such a difference having a creative space that's your own, where you can work on things and develop. So yeah, and I do really love being part of the Phoenix. It's, you know, I'm surrounded by other artists and makers, and there's a community of creatives around you, which just feels great. And if you're having a great day, you can share it with someone, and if you're having a bad day, you can go and talk to someone as well. There's usually somebody around for a cup of tea. It's really important to be surrounded by your peers. So I feel very lucky, very privileged to be here. I'd like to continue developing my traditional upholstery skills, and I feel really excited about that. That's just, I love doing that work. I'm very lucky that my work has continued through, you know, over the last year. So I have lots of commissions at the moment, so lots of different pieces of furniture that I'm doing for clients. And I've also got some of my own pieces that I'm looking forward to you know, getting on with as well in between. So yeah, I have in the past done open houses for quite a few years. I do have a few chairs in a little arts cafe in Hove called Treacle and Ginger. So I have a few of my pieces in there, and I have a website as well. So I usually have my pieces up there too.